Hello, viewer. Good afternoon. We continue our review of the lost novel Until August by Gabriel, Garcia, Marquez. This is part two, and obviously, I I don't need to remind you that this review will be full of spoilers because basically we'll be going chapter by chapter, page by page, and we continue from part one, and we're gonna talk about the night that Anna Magdalena Bach spent with the stranger. She didn't know his name, and there are two things I wanna talk about which I liked really much. That there are thousand ways to write down this sort of meetup in a hotel room by strangers. And usually the bestseller writers nowadays, they choose only one or two types of description of the event. But Marquez choose another way, and it must be highlighted because it is really special. For example, that they talk about how they fold the clothes. So the lady, Anna Magdalena, wakes up and fold the gentleman clothes and leaves her clothes on the floor. She almost falls over it. And then when the gentleman leaves, we don't know his name, when the gentleman leaves, he folds the lady's clothes. And I find it really special because for a very long time, my favorite love scene was from a movie. It was a low budget movie with friends, Lisa Kudrow, and she said in the beginning of the movie that all she wants is that a man wash her hair. And then later in the movie, she meets up with someone, and what you see is, so it's visual because it's a movie, that they start to kiss. So Lisa Kudrow and the other actor, and they go into, which is probably a hotel room as well, and the door closes, but the camera is still on the door, and but you can see that the door opens again because when they started to kiss, Lisa Kudrow had her shopping in her hand, and that is America, so you have everything in a big, huge paper bags. She dropped everything on the floor outside of her door. So the door closed, and now the door opens, and we can see Lisa Kudrow on the floor, crawling out of her hotel room and looking through the things that fell on the floor. And she finds the shampoo for the hair, and she slowly goes back to her room and then shuts the door. And for a very long time, that was my favorite love scene because everything's in it. And right now, in this book, Until August, Gabriel Garcia Marquez, the writer, wrote a very similar sort of love scene, which I really love. That's why I wanted to emphasize it. And then a shocking way to close the chapter because the lady reads a book, which is a very strange choice. I was really thinking about this. Why would a lady read Dracula by Bram Stoker? Anyway, it's a printout book. She carries it in her bag, and what happened is that the guy, the stranger, we don't know his name, left a $20 bills in it. And obviously, Anna Magdalena Bach is super pissed, like super pissed. And then comes the next chapter, which is a very strange one. So what we need to know about the novel Until August, that it was published this year, 2024, and for 10 years it was on the shelf, stocked away, because Gabriel Garcia Marquez died 10 years ago, 2014, and he wished this book never to be published. That's why you can see on the cover the lost novel, because he didn't like it. He said that as he gets older and older, his memory failing him, so he doesn't feel right to publish this book, because this is not his best book at all. So he said no. And then the children, they decided, okay, let's do it. And just right behind me, that's why I'm standing like this, you can see this one, this picture. This is Hukosai. So this Japanese artist, every single morning he draws something on a piece of paper, and then he throw it through the window to cast away bad luck. And what happened is that Hukosai daughter, his own daughter, went outside, went to the garden, always looked for this piece of paper, and then she, the daughter, brought it back to the house because she collected everything, and she kept it. But that was the whole idea of this, that to cast away the bad luck. And what we see here is exactly the same, that Gabriel Garcia Marquez children, they kept this book, instead of burning it, just published it with notes as well, which is very, 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 very tricky. So in the very beginning, when I decided to read it and make videos about this, going chapter by chapter, page by page, I wanted to express my feeling about the whole motion, that I absolutely don't like it when an author, an artist dies, and then they find all sorts of things in the desk, or secret places, and then they go and publish it. Like I think Michael Jackson has like 1,000 songs that is still unpublished, and they wanna publish it, and this is absolutely not a good idea. But here, as I was reading chapter 1, chapter 2, chapter 3, as I was going through the material of this lost novel, I realized that actually everyone should read this. Because here we have an author who has a failing memory, who wrote this book, and kinda at the end, of course we'll never know how long this book was planned to be, but the memory is failing, and he is, Marquez, he is changing things. He's going back and changing things, like the main character, who is a lady, Anna Magdalena Bach, he changed his age, which is a very, very strange thing, because it was a very good idea. I don't know a single book with an old lady as a protagonist. And here we have a very old lady traveling every August, leaving her family behind, traveling every single August to an island. And she's an old lady. And everything, the whole book is written as she is an old lady. And then later, Marquez changed it, and she became 44, 46 years old, or 48, something like that. Anyway, she made her much, much younger than it was in the original manuscript. And for me, it caused this problem, because the behavior of a 48 years old is completely different than the elderly lady. And the whole book works wonderfully with an elderly lady as a protagonist, but it doesn't really work when you have a 46 years old woman. So this is very good. This is all I wanted to say for part 2.